Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I feel like we just did this, but first panel of the Comic Art Live weekend, and it's a good one. We're going to be starting off with Declan Shalvey and the new art agency group that has a couple a pair of owners that I think everybody, at least we're going to be familiar with one of these gentlemen. So I'm going to bring them in, and we'll get started and talk about what's going on in the world of Declan Shalvey and Kinetic Collectibles with Andrew. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yes. Well, that's funny, Declan. I mean, I hate to say this. I'm not the biggest comic reader these days as I should be. But I first heard about you from other collectors, and I don't want to just like dive into the collector side of this, but I have to tell you that, some of the best recommendations on finding creators that I know little about is when other collectors, are like, you got to check out this guy's artwork. He's different. He's phenomenal. He's working on characters we all love. And I heard that from multiple people several years ago. And while I still don't own anything by you, that was like how I was like, I discovered you and I was like, damn, this guy is good. He's different. I love his work. And, it's kind of how in some ways, some of us can get away without, reading books as often as we should because we're surrounded by people who do and who also collect artwork. But I won't name the names, but it's a X-Men collector in particular who was like, you gotta check out his stuff. So that's what's cool, man. I mean, in our hobby, we get to discover people even when we're not reading their books. But you're pretty prolific. You don't have any downtime in your in your week to week life. It seems like you're either writing or drawing all the time.
Sorry, what were you saying? Right, okay. No, I have a problem. I just don't stop working. I can't. I can't really take days off. I can take maybe a day off here and there, but like if I don't, I just have this weird kind of nagging feeling you should be doing something. But I'm also in a wonderful position where people keep asking me to do things. So, it's more of like, yes, I'd like to do that. Can I fit this in? So no, it's also just probably a little bit of that freelancer brain thing of like, you don't know where the next job's going to come from. So just say yes. But no, I've been very lucky. I had a chat with my mum there a while ago. I was stressing out about what the next project would be, and she, in her wisdom, great wisdom, she said to me, "Would you shut the f up?" She didn't say f, and I was like, "Mammy, how can you talk to me like that?" But she was like, how long are you doing this?" I'm like, "I don't know, I'm 15 or so years." And she said, "When have you ever been stuck for work?" I was like, actually, yeah, something's always come up, and it's generally been great, like great. But it's weird how you can be working for years and not be seen in certain ways. I remember when I was working on a project at Dynamite, and someone mentioned a cover artist like called Peach Momoko. I was like, who? And like, and look at her now, some people do great, like, they have careers doing covers or they have careers doing like, and another part of the market will know who they are and everything about them, but another part wouldn't have a clue. So it's somewhere around the commission scene and not doing like published work. Mm-hmm. It's I mean, you probably know more than anybody else how varied it can be.
Oh yeah, well, no, without question. I think that I know a few artists that they only do commissions. Look at Joe or cover work. Look at Joe Linsner, right? He's working for Dynamite. He's doing like 6 to 10 covers a month, right? And thriving because they keep him really busy. Or like Peach with her variant covers, like you mentioned. I mean, I heard about her when she was doing more illustration work, like 5 or 6 years ago, and then all of a sudden she started doing comics. And you just never know as a creator where your career path is going to take you, but you got to go where the next good paying job is, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I think I remember I became aware of collectors. I was living in Scotland when I was starting out. I was doing like a UK graphic novel, and there was some local, however it was, there was some Scottish lads who were getting commissions. So I made a bit of money doing that, like, a few different, like I think I did The Shadow and something or other. So there was local Scottish collectors, and they got commissions from me, and they put it up on Comic Art Friends. That's how I first became aware of it, like, because that's when I became aware of the collector community, for lack of a better word. I didn't know that was a thing where you'd get a commission and you put up online and show everybody else. And I've remained fairly ignorant of it myself, just because I hear stories of people selling work and then afterwards finding out it's getting flipped, and I'm like, I'm just going to do the work and not worry about that, So I know it's a whole side of things I just don't know. But then again, that's why I people like Andrew.
Speaking of which, Andrew, welcome to the show.
See what I did there?
Nice segue. A pro.
You are an old pro at this. Nobody needs to hold a gun to your head to direct. But Andrew, I'm glad that we finally started talking a few weeks ago, and we just about Kinetic, and I'm glad you came. You reached out to us. I mean, I think we kind of have a good audience to kind of introduce new businesses and new concepts to. And, I feel like, you did the right thing there. But tell us a little bit about Kinetic Collectibles and how you guys got started. And I did put the link in the description for everybody so that you can go over to their website and sign up for your newsletters and follow your socials as well. So, give us a scoop.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're a relatively new venture that kind of, many of you guys know me from my past in the community, and, Bill and I, we know each other as well from that. I know Jason as well. We kind of started things a little bit unexpectedly, but we're kind of going in a direction that's really exciting and different than what other people, I think, are doing in the industry. And that's really, and you're going to see it all over our branding, is that putting the creators first. And before we kind of started this, we were talking about why I like Declan, of all the people, to have a conversation about the businesses, is that we've already been doing things together even before this official launch. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of about a collaboration that's away from necessarily the reps front in terms of how we're going to be doing things.
So are you handling, more or less just art sales through Kinetic, or are you going to be doing, kind of more of an agent side of things, helping them get work? I mean, what's your role going to be with the artists that you work with?
That's a good question. I mean, I think mostly it's up to the relationship with the specific artists. Mm-hmm. Somewhat are coming because they want different things, and being able to center them in terms of our priorities allows us to do what they are looking to do. We're announcing a good amount of artists to start for the convention today with Danny Tuolote, John Pearson, and Declan. But we plan to kind of keep things small and nimble, and it kind of goes up to our name, Kinetic, always in movement and always kind of flexible. So it allows us to kind of do what an artist really wants us to do. In many of the cases with artists, we're going to be centering the platform directly on them. In Declan's case in particular, is a really good one to talk about, is that we're both him and I are operating the Art Deco store, which launched, when did it launch? Two months ago, maybe, was our first thing.
Sometime this year.
It was, I
don't know when things happen.
Yeah. But we've already been working together and collaborating in terms of that venture. And that's kind of what Kinetic is going to look like. There'll be a main front in terms of, somewhere that the collectors community, like everybody that's out here right now, can follow in terms of, staying on top of the team. But from my standpoint, it's really about being flexible and accommodating for the artist, and also creating new collectors from the market that the artists have.
Mm-hmm. No, that's really wise.
I don't need help getting work. All right, I don't want that out there that I need an agent to get work. So I'm fine work wise. I'm great. Everything's brilliant. We're getting to work on so much stuff that I like, but it's the selling art side of the things. I don't want to do any of that. I mean, me and Andrew at tables together. Like, I'm happy to chat away to anybody. That's fine. But I don't have the time to be doing all the stuff on the side. But also, me and Andrew were kind of talking, and I was asking him, like, what did he think I should be doing? As regards, I was looking around for at other reps and stuff, and there's lots around. There's lots of, like, from what I hear, really good people, and but then you always kind of want to do a little background and stuff. It's a whole thing. But I remember asking Andrew what he was thinking, and everything he said to me was stuff that I wanted, which is more than. more than just an art rep, but someone to like come up with ideas and to like help me do the work to push the art, like the, I'd already made a website for myself, but like, maybe like how would I put a store together, and like if I wanted to do merch one day, how would I do that? And I'm the type of person who would like look into doing that type of stuff, but finding the time to really do it properly, I just wouldn't have it. I just did a Kickstarter for a book of mine recently, and it's a lot of work, man. I wish I'd had more. I wish I'd had some support, doing it at the time. And if I like doing little projects on the side.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I need someone to help me out with that type of stuff. And that's kind of like what me and Andrew were talking about is, putting different types of stuff out, like, maybe limited covers or who knows, different ideas, but like more than just selling art. Because I think that can be just a static business, and it has its ups and downs. Like there was, what was it, during COVID, it was crazy. And then a year afterwards, it was down. Like it's, you always worry, is it me? Is it my stuff that's not selling? But then you ask around, you're like, oh no, it ebbs and flows.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew I needed someone to help to kind of guide me, but like be a bit more proactive on that side of things, because I'm more proactive on the career side and the making the work side. If I know I'll end up just doing that and letting the other stuff fall aside. So I kind of needed somebody who would be more like, hey, we could do this, or why not try this? And I can go, yeah, let's do that. If you do all the work, yeah, totally. Let's totally do that. Because if it was up to me, it would just fall to the side, and I just wouldn't be able to keep on top of it all,
Right. Well, collecting money and shipping things is the worst part of the least glamorous part of the whole process, right? I mean,
I have a headshot I owe somebody right there. I just haven't, like, it's sitting there for 3 months.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's not because it's just the time. It's not, the post office is just over there, but it's finding the time to just wrap everything up when I have like this cover to be done and this script to do and stuff. It's just, that always has to be the priority. Like that's another reason why I need somebody to ship the art, because it was up to me. You never
that's
get
the
done.
least of it too, though. Like, you get misdelivered packages and all this kind of stuff. You have to send info to like customs and UPS and things like that. So, yeah.
If it got sent back to me, I'm like, I guess I just have to burn it.
No, it's I work with a few reps and artists in different ways, and it's always the same thing. At the end of the day, though, we want our creators, as art collectors, we want you making art. We don't want you even thinking about shipping art or how to process a credit card. That's not what we want you to do. We want you making more art, because as collectors, that just fuels our passion for the hobby as well. So reps and agents have a key role in the business. They really do. I mean, some artists, maybe they have a spouse that can help them, but that's not always the case, right? So yeah, I've always felt that a healthy ecosystem within our industry, is full of reps that have strong business sense and and can be creative. And we like working with everybody, because that's
what Andrew's, and I realize now Andrew has been doing. He's been somehow managing to sabotage my personal life now, so I can't get a wife and she can't do all the work.
Aha. That's
the reason.
The secondary goal whenever we're at conventions, got to cock.
What you said is true, though. Like, I mean, I think I have a fairly good business sense, but like specific to what I'm doing, I think I remember when I told Andrew I was doing a Turtles short story, and Andrew was like, "Oh, that's definitely going to sell." Now, I mean, it's the Turtles, so I think it might sell, but you never know. Sometimes things are in vogue and are not. Not everything's going to be sellable at the time that you're working on it. I wouldn't necessarily take a job because you never know. You could do what was it? I might do a project where I'm like, oh man, the art will definitely sell on that, and then it doesn't, and you don't know. And then there's things you think won't sell that do. So it's always good to have somebody who's got a better view of like who are buyers, what people are interested in. Again, it's not a reason why I would do something, but it is good to have that information at hand.
Right. Well, I mean, the secondary market of selling artwork is probably a very important part of your annual income, right? So it has to play some kind of role in some of the work you do. You can't not everything can be a passion project that isn't going to sell like hotcakes to art collectors when it's all over. But yeah, I get it. And Jason just keeps commenting in the chat. He said, "What did he say? We know that Andrew won't be a lazy rep. The worst thing is when a rep is harder to reach than the artist. And that does happen sometimes. We all know that as collectors.
I mean, I wouldn't know that because I'm not on the other side. That's the other thing is you don't really know. Like it's definitely a roll of the dice, a roll of the dice, because no matter how much a good relationship you might have with somebody, you have absolutely no idea what it's like on the other side unless somebody gets on to you. Things like that. Like it can be. And you also need to be careful because whoever you're working with affects your reputation as well. So it's no matter. And I mean, it doesn't matter who. It could be your best friend doing it for you. Actually, maybe just your wife. Your wife's probably the one person who can't. Although then again, no matter what, you could get screwed over, couldn't you? Yeah, I don't know.
It can go bad no matter what. Yeah, you have to really trust the person.
But that's it, because that's why we work with reps, because we don't have time to do all this stuff. We don't have time, maybe even the mental aptitude for it. Because there's a reason why we draw pictures for a living, and because we don't work in general society too well.
Well, like you said, it's you can't even get out to the post office, so I don't think you get out for dinner too often. But you got to take a break sometimes, Declan. You can't be a workaholic. And I missed somebody.
This is my break.
This is your break right this hour. What was it? Daniel Earl said, always great to hear Deck chatting and seeing his art. Congrats on the new venture, fellas. So thank you, Daniel, for pointing that out. That's very true.
Do you know Danny's work at all, Bill?
I know the name. I probably have seen his work, but
he's a new guy from Ireland. He's working on Hulk at the moment. But we did he drew Aliens Annual that I wrote.
Oh, wonderful!
Well, actually, I'm going to tell a story. I'll tell a story to embarrass him. We were at New York Comic Con, and I was asking how he was getting on at his table, and he had all the artwork from the Alien Annual he did, which was lovely. Like it's all on paper, like washes and texture and stuff like that. And somebody was looking at his pages, and they were like, "Oh, cool! I wish Declan had drawn it," and then walked off on him.
No.
And I love it because Danny's getting lots of really, really good attention right now. So I'm like, good. You need someone to bring you back down to earth. It's not all praise, Danny.
No, fans can be harsh. I mean, I wonder. And it makes me wonder. I don't think an art collector would have done that. It's probably to me that's a book purchaser, because I mean I've put my foot in my mouth a few times when I've talked with artists, but that's not a very smart thing to say. So, but Danny, it
happens to us all.
Yeah, of course, right, exactly. I mean, because when you go to a con, you just don't know what you're putting yourself in. Getting the situation you're putting yourself in, right? You're not always going to have art collectors. You got everybody. You could just have cosplayers wandering up to your table, wondering, what's there, and it's definitely a different experience than hanging out with a bunch of art collectors. Let's see here. I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions.
if that person from New York is in the audience today, we do have Declan's art available right now at declanshalvey.com/store. So
there you have it.
Well, that was actually, speaking of which, we just did recently did a drop of the Alien pages that I did on the second arc, and that's what I like about working with Andrew is he comes up with stuff like he mentioned Alien Day was coming up. I was like, oh, right, I wouldn't have known. I was not paying attention. So we made sure all the Alien stuff was ready to go. Alien Day came out. We did if you don't want me saying, Andrew, we did an advance kind of a drop on my newsletter. So anybody new, sorry, I don't know if you can hear the church bells going off. This is Ireland. Sorry, I have to go to mass. Sorry. It's smart. There was once a designer I was listening to who had the phrase selling sawdust, in that you make the work, but there's stuff that comes from the work that you can make. So the Kickstarter I did is a process book on my creator-owned book, Old Dog. All that work is there already, and you can make something of it. Same with art sales. And when Andrew came up with the idea of doing that, it's just a smarter way to put out the work rather than just putting it on a site and letting it just sit there for indefinitely, whereas it's if you can try build enthusiasm and you can get people's eyeballs on stuff, because the attention economy is rough, and trying to get anybody's there's people who come to me like, oh man, I'd love to get this piece of art off you. I'm like, it was on a website for 3 years. You could have gotten it easy. But now that it's not there, people are looking for it. You're like, but it's how things work. But sorry, I'm blabbing a little bit, but like
No, you're not.
that's
Well,
what I've liked.
What you're saying though is, I think, something that most artists are concerned about when they think about their art and their art market. And you don't want something sitting on a website for 3 years and not selling. I think that a lot of I talk to a lot of artists too, and I think some of the common complaints are I wish I could rotate my art out on my site, or my rep would rotate my stuff, leave it up there for 30 days and then take it down, because if people keep seeing it year after year, that just looks bad, right? I mean, so you need to think wisely on how you present yourself and how your work's shown and how long it's up for sale. I mean, there's a reason galleries rotate what they have in their inventory, even if they work with the same artist month after month. So yeah, you got to be creative. It's got to keep things.
There's also choice paralysis. I think we all know that from like looking at streaming sites. How often all these things you want to watch and you're like, you end up picking nothing. I think it's the same with art. Like I've been to galleries over the years, and I remember seeing like a Picasso exhibition, and there was so much of it. Like there's I saw these amazing pieces. Then by the end of it, you're like, because I've just seen 50 pieces. You kind of lose their power when you're like looking at them all for like 20 minutes. So I think there's a level of curation is quite helpful. It's really just being a bit smarter about it. It just takes a little bit more effort to do it. Again, something I don't have the bandwidth to do, but it's something that Andrew's well able to do for me. So it's worked out quite well. And I also should say that like the big thing with working with Andrew for me was he didn't push working together as something for Kinetic. It was for me, in that he wasn't saying, hey, I've got this new place, do you want to come join? Like a lot of the reps, and it's not a criticism, it's just an observation, where you can there's some groups you'd love to be with because all the other artists on there are class, and you want to be seen as like, oh, I want to be next to this amazing artist, but then you're also in competition with them and they're much better than you. So that also kind of a downside. Whereas when I was talking to Andrew, like a point he made to me was like, you have your own brand. You don't need to join another, market yourself as part of another group. And essentially like Andrew's not clearly a silent partner because we're talking now, but like the point was to push my brand, and he and Kinetic would facilitate it, which I don't think I would have considered. So weirdly, it was the more egotistical option for me, but that's what Andrew suggested, not me, which I liked because to me, that was a sign of him thinking outside the box rather than just replicating the same box as I saw elsewhere. And that's kind of what got me more excited about working with Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge side of it. And, we're doing this rollout here. We're being more public. Declan's talking about the side that I think is the core of the business, which is working for the artists. But we also really recognize that this community is really important and really tight-knit. So the idea is there is going to be the team aspect, but it's more of like a network as opposed to one giant team hub type thing. So again, like follow Declan's newsletter, and we're always going to be doing the early sales, exclusive commission opportunities. We'll all go through there, but you can also keep track of what Declan's doing through the Kinetic front. So it's going to be kind of like a twofold, because again, we value the community and want to stay in touch. And I think it's easier for art fans to follow a rep in some ways than necessarily trying to keep up with every small thing. But we like the best of both worlds, and that's going to be the plan going forward with it.
Which I think you kind of have to do as well with the way all the social media out, like the algorithms and whatnot. I sound like an old man. The algorithms, but it's just it's very hard to get your stuff out there now. And like I've been running a newsletter for years now, and have developed, a certain amount of people who follow my work. And it's, that was Andrew was saying it to me that way. He was like, you have a dedicated audience. Talk to them. You can keep pushing your work to them, because you put stuff on Twitter and Instagram, and of course they do have their effects for sure. Mm-hmm. But if it, I think it's more of a secondary one at this stage, because even if you follow me, you may not even see my posts, so you're going to miss. And I could post again and again and again, and you may not even see that stuff. Whereas I think there's a little bit more of an intimate maybe intimate's not the right word, but like you get a more
direct. It's like
like I'm
mailing
literally
lists.
saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying it to you, and also before anybody else. And I that's kind of fun for me to do as well. Like I like, if you have to listen to me waffle every 2 weeks, then at least you get you get like a bit of an advance notice. But I think it rewards more maybe more dedication than just kind of the passive nature of following somebody on social media platforms. I could be wrong about that, but that's it feels a bit more authentic from my point of view.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. It's one of the things I'm always surprised about are the number of businesses out there that that don't maintain mailing lists or some direct form of contact. They just rely on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter as their websites even. And there's a number of artists that just rely on that. And considering how unreliable those are as delivery mechanisms to make sure that they reach your intended audience or fans, you'd think that they would come up with more direct means of just getting the word out, because a newsletter is at least reliable. You're going to send it to somebody's inbox. They have the chance to see it. But with social media, it's down to like 10% of your followers might see something. It just doesn't really work. But there's a lot of very high profile mainstream artists that don't have their own sites or their own newsletters or those sorts of things. So you're definitely doing the right thing there.
Well, I think a lot of it's down to temperament. Like I actually like doing the newsletter. I don't know if it's just ego or whatnot, but I used to blog back in the day. When Blogger was a thing, before when I was starting out. You can actually find it. I won't tell you where, but you can go find my blog. And there's me doing a post about going to like my first New York Comic Con convention. Like I met Ed Ribic, and it was really like it's embarrassing. But I feel like I need to keep it out there. So if you want, you can find it. But so the newsletter was that for me was that it was a way of kind of cataloging the work I was doing, also tracking the work that was coming up, but also like. Yeah, getting a sense of like where also I can be a bit more authentic on here rather than on a social networking platform, but integrating the art sales into the newsletter has definitely worked. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Andrew, but to me it feels like it's clicked in a great way.
Yeah, I mean, it came really quickly in terms of how people understood how the model was, and like we had done one release with like Wolverine and Deadpool art. And then we were going to go directly into the Alien drop for the next one. And there was people that bought at 12 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, and bought like 4 or 5 pages right when we did the switch in terms of changing the collections. So yeah, I think that people get it really quickly, and I think it's a really great way. Like the algorithm, it's a crapshoot. People who are experts don't really know how it works. It seems at times, and it changes all the time. So really. Newsletters have become a pivotal thing, and even if you take it a next step further, is like what you're doing is everything plugs into itself, so it's a lot easier for people to see what you're doing because it's all centralized on you. You talk about it on your podcast and you talk about it on social media, and it comes to the newsletter. Again, I think it's the best way to get visibility in this day and age with how volatile social media is.
And also, I would say that it's good for me to keep it all in one place, because people might follow the newsletter or like the website, and they'd be like, "Oh, where I'd love to get some art." I'm like, "Oh, it's right. It was another link in another place." Whereas now it all feels like it's all feeding the same thing. If you're coming for art, if you want to get in early on art, you also, I'm sorry, but have to listen to me talk about what's coming up next. So you're aware of what's coming next. But also, if you just like that, you also might. You might not know where to get any art, so now it's there too. So I feel like it's more there's more synergy, to use a corporate term. So it works well that way. And also it's also more content for the newsletter, which is great. But I had another point there with the newsletters. It's gone out of my head now.
From like in a conceptual thing, again, to talk more about the business as well, like growing a new market from ease of access was a big idea that I really wanted to have, because like I know we gripe about how much comic art has gone up in price over the last 10 years, but it's still a relatively cheap form of art collecting, and it should have a pretty good reach in terms of people that are collectors. And people spend hundreds of dollars on hardcover books and all these things. Like there's a lot more people that are following Declan and some of our other artists that have never even considered it. And part of it is just some of the ways to buy art is pretty inaccessible. So like with Declan Store, we're using Squarespace. We're going to use all e-commerce platforms that are like cart based and people know how to buy from. Just because that extra step or 2 or 3 or 4 or ambiguity on the websites in terms of how to buy. I think it really it excludes people from getting even started. And I think everybody that's watching this knows that it only takes one purchase of comic art to get you hooked, and then you're down that slippery slope for
That's usually how it goes.
Well, it worked out nicely for us too, because I had built that website on Squarespace, and when Andrew and I started talking, realized that there was a Shopify connection. I know what the term is, but like a connection or built-in thingy or whatnot. So again, it's just you can feed it right in. Whereas like I know I've done it myself, where you'd be looking at something like, oh cool, I'll get that, and then you've got to make it an extra leap, and you're like, oh fuck it, I couldn't be arsed. Even in this day of convenience, So it's like it's. But again, I never would have done it myself. I wouldn't have had I'd have had the idea, but not the implementation. And again, like not to, butter up Andrew too much, but like, he follows through on the things that I wish I had the time to do. But when I have somebody who can follow through on all that stuff, it's so much more additive. Like, and like, yeah, in just the short I think you're right, Andrew, it must be 2-3 months at max. Everything's gone really well, and like now, we're trying, we did this week trying to put some Thundercats variant on, because that's one thing we haven't done. It's all been original art, so I'm going to try some other stuff too, see how that happens, because there's so many parts to the market of what people collect, be it like limited books or artwork or whatnot. And I don't know. Some people sell great in original art and they don't sell well in other stuff, and vice versa. So I'm actually not sure where my value is necessarily. I know I do okay with original art for sure, which is great because that's just how I like to work anyway. But it's interesting to figure out how to like. I think that was it. Is I don't think as much as I am up my own arse half the time, I don't think I'd have had the nerve to build out like the Art Deco idea as a brand. And it was kind of Andrew who said like, no, you have the brand. Let's use that for your art sales. And I don't think I would have made the connection. So yeah, I needed somebody who can, again, think outside the box and facilitate all this stuff. I feel like I should say Art Deco is powered by Kinetic. I feel like it should be like a tagline or something.
And that's a really good point too. And I know we're kind of running out of time because we do want to sell some art, but the market is really small, like comic art and comic collectors. Like it's a pretty small market, even in general, when you're talking about units of comics sold. But it's very interesting to see how different creators exist within their own sphere of, I don't know, a sphere of influence. Some that are really big in like Declan and I was just talking about, like some that really appeal to people that collect variant covers, and how that's a completely different animal in some ways to artists that work with the publishers and doing a B or a C cover. The vibe and what draws people to that art is different, I would say, than what a publisher might get for their regular covers. So it's like a lot to dig through and consider when you're doing these projects. And like, that's something that I'm super excited to have, more time and effort to devote into the people that we work with in terms of like figuring out what works for everybody.
Well, it's always fun starting a new business.
Sorry, Bill. I just to add to that, I think, when the pandemic hit and everything, I like a lot of the comic shops I knew that did well. They weren't just doing one thing. They weren't just selling single issues or just selling graphic novels. Or they had the ones that did okay had a broader range of stuff. So that if one thing isn't doing well for a certain period, something else was able to pick it up. And I do think personally it would be healthier if it wasn't completely reliant on what's in the zeitgeist in the art sales world. Because like you said, you can kind of predict it, but then once you think you have it figured out, something else changes. So I personally would like to be in a place where like I could do things like pins or limited edition and stuff and all that. But like I'll always want to sell original artwork. Like I like, and also Sorry, it was one thing I wanted to say about the that was, I remember what I was going to say earlier. What I like about the newsletter, selling it through that for the most part, is you have to really like my stuff if you're going to tolerate my feckin' newsletter every 2 weeks. So I much prefer my stuff going to somebody who likes my stuff. Whereas I remember when I did All-Star Batman, there was a couple of really nice fellas, now don't get me wrong, but it was all going to a couple of people, and I don't like that too much. You know, I don't mind if someone really likes collecting my work, that's great. But like you were saying about the price and whatnot, I have the JP Leon Black Widow page, and I got that off him. I think it cost me $250. Like, now I couldn't get his covers. There were 1,000. I was starting out. I couldn't afford them. But I liked that there were pages I could afford there. Mm-hmm. And I like being that kind of place. I like being, if you want to get a nice cover, it's going to cost. But if you would just want to get a page because you really like my work and you just want to get a page, there's affordable ones there. I never want to be, I always want to be kind of reasonable. Like my hero, I want to be like that, And if you get into the collector sphere, like specifically just that, I would worry that I wouldn't want one person to own everything I do, But I feel that we kind of do both this because Andrew, was it a collector got all the Turtles pages?
Yeah.
Is that some
yeah, it's so complete.
It's mixed. Yeah,
it's a little bit different than a full issue.
Yeah, but which is fine. I don't mind doing that here and there. I just would like to always make sure that, like I said, there's always an option for if you just want to get a piece, you can get a piece.
Right. Well, there's when you have passionate collectors, sometimes they want to get whole issues or whole stories. There's other collectors that just want to get a good example, like you're saying, just get an interior page for $250 and have a something that they can feel that they're connected to. And collectors come in all different tastes. And
when did the whole issue thing start? That feels like it's a fairly new development, isn't it?
Sort of. Back in the day, before reps or whatever, that was like a holy grail for a collector would be to be able to actually track down all the pages because they were already out in the wild. And then, say 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, certain reps started releasing or giving that, selling it as an option. So rather than only selling 3/4 or half of the book, if you release all the pages at one time, at the end of the day, it's better to move the whole book than to move just half of it and then leave the other half sitting around for 2 or 3 years. So I think it became an easy way to kind of move product without really having to store it. And at the same time, there were collectors who really enjoyed the opportunity to buy a complete book. And
look, it's great from the artist's point of view because then you don't have to sell 20 different pieces. There's definitely, I don't think I've ever sold I've never sold a whole issue, a whole single issue of anything. It's always been various pages. There is definitely a benefit to just making one big sale, instead of doing it bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. So so it's nice when it happens. I won't lie.
Yeah, we're not going to turn down complete issue sales. If anybody here is listening, no, but when we're talking about,
but you know what I mean. I wouldn't want it to only be that is all.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too. But when you talk about what we were talking about before with choice, the whole how daunting it can be to have 150 pages up, a complete issue sale can actually really help that in terms of having less out there. In terms of the market, and that was always something with momentum that I always like to see, because one complete issue sale will turn into something that's a little bit easier for those to grasp that missed out, and it's all about balancing both. Always want to sell them complete, but have some out there when it's ready.
Well, right. Is that a good? I'd say one thing that somebody said that they read, they got Descendant Alien and loved it. Thanks very much. Pages are now available on our Deco store. Had to do it, but sorry, what did you say there, Andrew?
Momentum from moving from a complete issue sale to say
right.
you sell.
Would that make it a good time to mention the Thundercats stuff all went? I don't know if we want to say that publicly yet. That all the Thunder.
Oh yeah. We had sold the first they were the first four covers plus
it was first 4 covers and the Calico variant. Yeah, all went to a private collector. So again, great when it happens. But now we're actually putting out whatever covers I do are going on the site now. So that's the first art I've done that's now sellable.
And I think that actually that may be the opposite. We're talking about something building momentum. I think that people didn't see them for sale for a long time and just thought you weren't selling them, or well, they weren't available because people were asking in the beginning, and then kind of slowed down more. But they are available. 5 and 6 are available now. So, and we'll continue to have them available in the future.
Yeah, I've just did issue 8, which I can't show you, but that'll be in the post.
Let's get to selling the art that we have here.
But I would add, complete. It does, because there's going to be collectors who are like, I just wanted that one page, but we're sorry, we sold the book complete. So then they know that when the next drop happens and it's and you're allowing everybody to get a page, they're going to have a little bit more interest in picking up a page now because they missed out on the complete issue 1 or whatever. I think that there's a strategy in all of that, and as long as the collector ends up getting placated at the end of the day, they're happy, you're happy, and as long as they get something. So, but like you said, look, we've that's something you can't tease.
It's not out yet. Don't share.
I saw somebody begged. No.
Don't take any screenshots.
Yes, Alberto's just wishing he'd show it longer. But yeah, we do have 9 pieces of art we're going to show off here. So let's see, what was we talked about this before the show. If anybody picks up anything, we've got 9 lots. They're numbered 1 through 9 on the slide. So if you want to claim something in the chat, just type claim in the lot number. Shipping's $35 US, 65 international. And I believe the email address we want to use for contacting Kinetic after the show is you're going to email Mike at kineticcollectibles.com, because Andrew's going to Como, I think, in a very short while.
I'm not going to Como right now. I'm actually going to go see the Decemberists, but I am going to Como next week.
Okay, I thought you were leaving immediately.
No. Yeah,
yeah, Mike's the guy in charge.
Yeah.
But that's the email address we want you to email. So if you claim anything during the broadcast, we want you to email Mike. And then for those of you watching after the show, because we know that there's a lot of people shopping on the floor right now. If you're watching the show afterwards, you see something that doesn't get claimed, email Mike, and he'll let you know if it's still available. So that's kind of how we work it. But and then we got about. Well, we got 10, 15 minutes here, but let's take a look. We can take a look at these 9 pieces of art. You can tell us a little bit about each one of them, Declan. So this is from Avengers Twilight 6, and it's priced at $17.50.
Yeah, that's it's a run of variants that Marvel are doing called Lightning variants. They're basically Frank Miller homage for Dark Knight Return homage covers, but legally aren't. Thanks. Covers. It was basically the gist. So I had to come up with something in that vein. So I did, but it was too close. There was all these legal things you had to kind of dance around. So this is ultimately, like the close. I actually don't like homage covers. I don't do them. I kind of hate them. But when I was asked if I wanted to do this, I just had the image in my head straight away, and having the image in your head is the hardest part of it, really. So once I knew I had it in my head, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do this one. So it's the Hulk from the storyline, the Avengers Twilight storyline. So it's who's drawing it? What's his name? Amazing artist. It'll come to me in a minute. But so I just got to draw a cool Hulk. Only problem was the actual cover, he'll have pants on. I don't know why. I had to go in and Photoshop but because in the story he's naked, so I drew I think one of the best arses I've ever drawn is that Hulk. Really, really happy with that bottom. The proper cleft to the arse, But I know for whatever reason for the cover, I guess they needed him to not be naked, so I had to Photoshop in some pants. But that is the original, and and I'm really happy. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the best covers, and I really, really like that one. It's cool, chunky Hulk, and I was really happy with the composition. Just some covers just go exactly the way you want, and this is one of those. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, no, it's very nice, and you can't put this in front of little kids and things, I guess. But it's the Hulk, for crying out loud. You can't relate to him as a person or as a figure, and you can be naked or not. I mean, I don't know. But
that's why I have no pants on right now.
Don't stand up, Declan. I'm going to keep the slides up for all of us. So lot one, and we'll take a look at lot two. Moving over to cable number one. This one's priced at $1,600. I think there's many of us who like your work in the on Wolverine and in the X universe. So this is a nice, very nice cover.
It's always. I mean, I'm an X-Men hound. Like, that's what got me into comics. So that was a great reason. It's Cable. I've never. It's weird how I can be. I'm in Marvel well over 10 years now, and there's some characters I've just never had a chance to draw. So that's the only time I've gotten to draw Cable. Again, it's one of those covers where I remember I had a very like Terminator-esque cover was another idea, but they went with this one, and I like it because I like the ones that I like ones with a big, strong composition. I know a lot of people like kind of showier covers where you can see everything, which are grand. I like those too, but I always like one that really like centers the character and the environment, kind of enforces it, So we get that big kind of put the X in the door because he's X-Men. I'm a genius. I just really like, same with the Hulk piece. I really like the covers where I get to really kind of lean into compositional ideas are the ones I tend to prefer. Don't always get to do it, and sometimes they're not appropriate, but I actually think that's probably one of my favorite covers I did last year. I think it's also the 250th cover. I think I wrote it in there somewhere. Might be, yeah. Sorry, on the other side, I think it says 250 on the left, on the right of the image. That means it's the 250th cover I've done at Marvel.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I counted. I was like, fucking hell. There was a time I could not get on covers. Like for the first few years of Marvel, I couldn't get on covers, and now 250. It just the fools keep hiring me.
Well, no wonder you need somebody else to sell your artwork. If it's 250 covers, just imagine the number of interiors as well. So here, we'll move on to an interior here. We got a page from Conan 10, page 14.
Oh, wow.
225, lot 3.
So I'd forgotten about this page.
What year was, or when was this one done?
This is Conan. This would have to be, let me see, what was I drawing? I think I was drawing, Venom at the time. So I guess 2012-ish, 2013 maybe. I was taking over, I think, with Becky Cloonan. James Harron had been on the book, and I was the third or fourth, I think. But I loved drawing. I'd never drawn anything like this before, so I really went mad with textures on the boat and the wood. And it's weird, if I'd been offered that story a few years earlier, I probably wouldn't have been into it. But I really liked getting to work in that genre for, it was like 3 issues. I had Massimo Carnevale covers. So, Dave Stewart colors. Oh, good times. But I really, really liked working on something. It was fun because I was doing so much superhero stuff. So getting to do anything, I got to do a little bit of Vertigo, a little bit of Dark Horse stuff around that time too. And I think it really informed my work in a big way.
Very nice. Let's see. I don't want to rush through these, but I know there's a couple X-Men pieces in here. I know Jason would probably like to see them, and they're towards the end. Sorry, Jason. But we got a Deadpool cover here at lot 4, and it's priced at $1,500. Lots of fun here again. You got characters falling out of the sky, Declan. I'm not sure. We had the Hulk first, and now we've got Deadpool dropping in on.
Yeah, I mean, it's falling out of the sky or standing on a rocky ledge. I think my two. Because I love drawing rocks. So if I ever have a chance, if editors aren't specific about what they want, I'd probably just draw them in a rocky or destroyed city background, because they're just so much fun to draw. But I think with this, they just said, "Do you want to draw a Deadpool? Do whatever." I was like, "All right," because I hadn't drawn a Deadpool cover in a while, so I kind of wanted to just do a big old, as just go all in on an action pose, But it's weird. I am starting to notice my. I've developed my own tropes of things like I just clearly have an affinity for doing, and when you work as much as I do, you do the piece and then you move on and you don't see what you've done before. So it's interesting to come back. But this is fairly recent. I think I did this year. I think
it's
no, at the end of last year it must have been.
Well, it's very nice. And let's see, what was lot 5? Lot 5 was it's a, I didn't read Injection, but this is a beautiful page. I love the art in it.
Oh, thanks, man.
And just seeing the art, it makes me think I got to read this book because it's so well done. I need to know the story. So an affordable interior page here too at $300.
Yeah, no, I mean that Injection. I'm still so proud of it. Like, but it pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. But man, Warren would just come up with the most insane crap to draw, and like having to figure out how to draw it was. Yeah, I'm getting a little. I can't believe I drew that page. It looks like so much work, but I definitely did. There was nobody doing it for me. I'd forget, man. You know what's weird? I got at the stage of my career now where I forget. You forget whole pages took days to do. I remember there'd be days you're so precious about every little page you've done, but then when you've drawn hundreds and hundreds, it's you forget that you're actually professional. But no, I love it. This, man, I haven't seen this page in a long time. Actually, yeah, I don't want to say I'm proud of it, but it can seem like I'm full of myself, but I actually am. I think that came out really nice.
Oh, I do. I love this page. I mean, the thing is, you can collect art because you love the characters, and it's that sort of thing. Or sometimes you can just look at a piece of comic book art and just be like, I love this for the art, and that's okay. I mean, I think that's as collectors, we can come at buying artwork in a lot of different ways. But I mean, I don't need to know the story to know that I think this is a beautiful piece of art and worthy of being picked up. Let's see here. So lot 6 is a cover, Ms. Marvel and Moon Knight. And that's a beauty. Got lots of bricks on this one. Nice lighting on it. It's even colored pretty good. That's always a plus.
Oh, thanks, man. Because I color my own stuff now as well, so it's always so that's a double compliment. I'll take it. Joe, that was my first time drawing Moon Knight in a long time. Like after Moon Knight was such a big hit, I kept getting asked to do like Moon Knight stuff, but like, you don't want to milk things too much, but I hadn't drawn him in a long time, and I had never drawn Ms. Marvel. So again, like I said, there's some characters you never get a chance to work on. So I'm like, it'll be fun to draw her and him. And yeah, I think I'm trying to remember when I did the rough, but like I like the shadows on the that's probably my favorite thing, or is the brickwork. And Ms. Marvel I liked the folds on her clothes as well. That turned out really nice.
Certainly did.
Yeah. Also, there's Moon Knight. That's also good. I'm actually surprised that didn't go, because anything I had with Moon Knight just gets snapped up.
Yeah, this is the first time it's been publicly posted anywhere.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 3 more to look at in about 3 minutes to do it. So we have this Venom 35 page, priced at $250, lot number 7. Venom's always fun to draw, I think.
Yeah, no, he was really fun to draw. That was, I think, those were creatures me and Cullen created for that storyline, and it's that's Toxin. I can't remember. It's been a while now since I drew this page, but all the symbiote stuff was great fun to draw. Like, it's just inky work. Toxin was a pain in the arse because like I deliberately made a point of drawing all the little kind of sinuousy stuff that pours book up off him. I remember when I said that's going to look cool, and then after like 3 issues, I'm like, this is a terrible idea. But that was just the symbiote stuff was great. Like it was cool for me because it's like drawing Spider-Man, but with lots of inky, splattery, sinewy stuff. It's it's just great fun to draw.
I think you had a lot of fun drawing it. It looks cool to me. And here's one I think some people might appreciate: a Weapon X-Men number 4, and this one's priced at $1,500. Lot number 8. Nothing like
that was just. Do you want to draw a zombie Wolverine? I was like, do I?
How do you turn that down, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's Wolverine, but he's also like, that's the one thing I used to draw a book called 20 Days Later, and Marvel didn't ask me to do anything for the Marvel zombie stuff. Like, I was personally offended. So when I got to do this, I'm like, okay, because like this drawing zombie stuff is great fun. Same with the symbiotes. It's all inky, splattery stuff. So any chance I kind of get to go a bit nuts, I jump on it. So Wolverine, who I I pretty much say yes anytime asked me to draw a Wolverine thing and add in a zombie. And I think the only thing was, I think the zombie Wolverine they have, he's not like very falling apart. So, I think I would have liked to have done a more decrepit version of him, but that's not what he looks like in the book. So I tried to stick him with what's in the book.
Well, it turned out very, very well. And we got one more to look at. And this was from X-Men Unlimited. It's an interior page priced at $275, lot number 9. And you got to draw Wolverine again.
Yeah, that was great fun. That's the one. So yeah, I did a kind of a 48-page story with Jonathan Hickman, and then I got to basically continue the story and wrap it up in another arc that I wrote and drew myself. So I wrote, drew, and colored this whole section of it, which was great fun because I got to draw Chamber and who else was in it? Nightcrawler. That bloody hell's I have in that. That's what's her name? Husk. Like, I basically tried drawing whatever Generation X characters I could fit in there because that's my era, But no, yeah, just drawing. I mean, I just love drawing Wolverine. Like, I love drawing a squat little hairy bastard. It's like it's just his unlike his figure is totally different to everybody else. Those 3 claws. Even though I'm so lucky I've got to do a Wolverine story of my own, I still would love to do more.
Well, that would be pretty cool. I think we'd like that. So I hate to talk and run, but I do have another panel to get to. But I want to remind everybody, first, if you're interested in any of the artwork here, I saw the questions about package deals and Alberto buying everything. The email address is Mike@Kinetic Collectibles.com. Andrew, you have an email address too. I think it's just Andrew at Kinetic Collectibles as well. So if anybody ever wanted to reach out to Andrew, that's the email address to use to talk to him. And you guys have a booth set up as well during Comic Art Live. So there's, you can swing by there and probably check out some other artwork and other opportunities. And again, following links from there to sign up for their newsletters is key in any new business. I encourage everybody to do that. And Declan, it was nice getting a chance to meet you. I appreciate the fact that
you
you're
too, Bill. Cheers, thanks. Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We've got a few more panels this afternoon.
So thank you, Alberto.
Oh, see, I'm sorry. I was not watching the chat. But,
good way to end things.
Alberto picked up lots 2 and number 8. Thank you so much, Alberto. Alberto, he's
Alberto.
He's the man. He's the man.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. Well, again, thank you so much.
He's my favorite out of all of you now.
Yeah, we know how that goes. All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining me, and enjoy the rest of the show.